Think of a city famous for its bright lights and great culture, yet also for its dark places. There, frightening things happen often, and many bad stories never get solved. Life in that city can change suddenly, just as it did for Kamari Belmont. He was a young man, only 23, known as THF Bobo. His story is about difficult choices, strong loyalty, and a startling finish. His life changed dramatically that night, leading to a turning point people would discuss for a long time. You may feel you understand the streets, but what happened to Bobo shows a very different part. This is an account that will hold your attention as you try to grasp how everything went wrong and why so much remains unclear. Prepare to explore the hidden side of Chicago's world. Learn about THF, or Trigger Happy Family, a group that got its name from a lost friend known as Trigger. They lived on the streets of 44th and Princeton, and in Woodlawn. Bobo became known not as a music maker, but as a drill robber. This meant he took things from others, particularly from rival groups, to feed his own family. He spoke with a fierce determination about needing money, or bread, and being ready to drill something. He warned anyone not with his crew to tuck your chains or get ghost if they didn't want war with the gods on Gutter Grave. These were more than simple words, they were a grave pledge. He truly meant it. He was serious about what he did. His main purpose was always to care for his family, even if it meant doing things few others would try. His way of thinking was plain. He would get what he needed and no one would stop him. He gained a name on the streets as a bold person, someone to be watched. His deeds resonated through the neighborhood's paths and places. This mix of strong loyalty and fierce spirit made him influential, but it also made him a mark for others. What would unfold as his life met the wider world? Late one evening, Kamari Belmont, with his companions Terrence Hogan and Kill Powell, sought targets. They saw a lady and her friend Sorrel Marshall walking back to an apartment. The quiet night soon changed. With quick, quiet steps, Bobo moved close. He reached into the lady's bag and swiftly took her iPhone, charger, a credit card, and her wallet. It occurred very fast. At the same time, Terrence Hogan stepped forward, a gun in his hand, aimed at Marshall. The calm night broke into a scary scene. Marshall was trapped, held by these three men, unsure what to do. But Marshall refused to simply wait. In a bold, hopeless action, he tried to push Hogan's gun away. It was an instant choice, a burst of bravery against danger. Just then Hogan fired. Gunshots echoed loudly, tearing through the night air. Marshall felt a sharp hurt as bullets pierced his body many times. He dropped to the ground, hurt and losing blood, the fierce attack leaving him in great pain. His attackers did not linger. They ran away, leaving Marshall on the street. Yet even then, Marshall found a deep reserve of power. With pain burning through him, he somehow stood up and in a truly defiant move, threw himself onto the hood of their fleeing car, wanting to stop them. But their cruelty was endless. Terrence Hogan, without feeling, shot him again. Marshall slipped from the hood, his energy fading, and fell to the ground once more. The car sped off into the night, leaving him hurt. Marshall struggled for his life for 3 hard weeks in the hospital, showing a strong desire to live. But his wounds were too severe, and he died. His battle served as a clear sign of how hard and pitiless the streets can be. The 3 men, Kamari, Belmont, Terrence Hogan, and Kill Powell, did not halt after their first violent act. Instead, they appeared to grow more daring. They kept up their dangerous actions, carrying out 2 more bold robberies only a short distance from where Sorrel Marshall had been shot. It was as if they were challenging anyone to stop them, displaying no regard for rules or human lives. Their deeds grew increasingly wild, leaving behind worry and damaged lives. They acted with unsettling precision, pushed by a desire for fast money. In the next robbery, Kamari Belmont took the lead. He quickly approached a 38-year-old man, putting a gun to his head. With swift force, he took the man's wallet and cell phone. Then just as fast, Bobo ran back to their car, and they quickly left, leaving another person shocked and robbed. This time, a new detail changed things. The person was not alone. Their friend, who had been there, managed to escape the frightening event. They did not pause. They ran down the street, desperate for help, seeking anyone who could end this bad dream. By pure fortune, they found a police car. Their heart beat hard, a mix of fear and comfort filling them. They quickly informed the officers what happened. And a key detail, they had a helpful tool, the Find My iPhone app. Using this app, the stolen phone's path led the police directly to the robbers, only a few blocks away. The pursuit had begun, and the trap was nearing. The police, with the phone's location, swiftly approached. They found Kamari Belmont, Terrence Hogan, and Kill Powell. The group was celebrating their stolen items, likely believing they had escaped. But then, police vehicles encircled them. The air grew heavy with strain, like a storm waiting to break. In a tense face-off, the robbers leaped from their car, their faces set with defiance. Terrence Hogan, still holding a pistol, looked at the officers, his posture showing danger. But when met by the firm determination of the law, their bold front began to weaken. In the confusion that came next, Hogan made a wild, careless move. He lunged at an officer, perhaps trying to get away or fight back. In an instant, gunshots broke the quiet. Bullets flew loud as thunder. Hogan was hit in his arm and chest, but he somehow managed to get free, vanishing into the dark. Police searched for him for a long time. Yet, even with Hogan gone for a while, the proof against him and his friends grew. They checked the empty. And what they discovered showed all. A loaded 9mm pistol, frightening proof of their deadly aims, and the victim's stolen possessions. These items served as solid confirmation. At the same time, Kamari Belmont and Kill Powell were taken into custody right at the place. Their spree of fright, for that night at least, ended. But what about Bobo? Later, a man appeared at Mercy. Hospital covered in bullet wounds. It was Kamari Belmont. He was a person, after all. Police soon linked all three suspects to both robberies. And then came the upsetting word. The first robbery victim, Sorrel Marshall, had died from his gun. Wounds. This meant grave new accusations. All three men, including Kamari Belmont, would now face charges for first-degree murder. People on the street spoke, filled with shock and fury, as the full weight of their deeds became truly plain. What happened next brought widespread surprise. While Kamari Belmont remained at Cook County Jail, accused of murder, a deadline loomed.
Questions tonight for the Cook County State's Attorney. How did prosecutors miss a deadline to bring a defendant to trial?
Murder charges had to be dropped, and the 23-year-old man was released from county jail, only to be shot to death moments later. Here's CBS 2's Jim Williams.
As Kamari Belmont sat in Cook County Jail charged with murder, the clock started running.
We want accused people, we want victims, witnesses, everybody. We want them to have a speedy trial.
Prosecutors had 120 days to bring Belmont to trial under the state's speedy trial statute. They didn't get it done and had to drop the murder charges. Michael Johnson was Belmont's attorney.
In all my years, and I've handled hundreds of murder cases, the first time this has ever happened to me.
CBS 2's legal analyst Irv Miller was a supervisor in the state's attorney's office.
When you were in the state's attorney's office, what would have happened?
Whoever didn't count the days would have been fired.
State's attorney Kim Fox's spokesperson blamed her predecessor, Anita Alvarez's administration. An error occurred in the handling of this case by the prior administration. Going forward, we are working to improve training protocols for our prosecutors to prevent such errors. Minutes after Belmont posted bond Monday night and left county jail, someone in this SUV fired shots at the 23-year-old. He didn't make it to the hospital.
What was your reaction when you found out he had been shot to death?
I was absolutely stunned and felt very bad for his family.
State rules stated that prosecutors had 120 days to bring him to court once he asked for a fast hearing. Belmont's lawyer, Michael Johnson, pressed for this, wanting his client to have his day to explain himself. But time passed, month after month. There were a surprising 12 delays from May 2015 until January 2017. Each delay pushed the court date further away. Then came the startling, nearly unbelievable news. The Cook County prosecutors had failed to meet the deadline. They had made a significant error in handling the case, a blunder so large that the murder charges against Belmont had to be removed. This was a huge oversight, a legal mistake that left many wondering how such a vital detail could be missed. Belmont's lawyer, Michael Johnson, a seasoned legal worker, said he had never witnessed anything like it. Someone in a state's attorney's leadership role even stated that the person who made such an error should have been fired. The new state's attorney's voice blamed the old administration, promising better instruction to stop similar mistakes. In the future, this major legal stumble meant Belmont would only face the robbery charges. A judge set his payment to leave jail at $100,000 for the second robbery. A friend swiftly paid the required 10%, or $10,000, to secure his release. Kamari Belmont was about to walk free from a murder accusation. His lawyer, Michael Johnson, knew the dangers outside. He spoke to Belmont with a grave warning. "Don't tell people you're getting out. They'll kill you once you're free. You need to leave the South Side and go to the suburbs. I'm serious, Kamari, don't tell people. Just get out and leave the South Side. I don't want their family to get revenge on you. Listen to me. Just leave." But sadly, Bobo did not heed this advice. Right after returning to his jail area, he started telling everyone he was going free. The news traveled fast, reaching the streets in an instant. A dangerous secret, passed along with dangerous outcomes. The night of March 6, 2017 became a part of Chicago's rough history. It was Kamari Belmont's last night held away. He felt great happiness, keen to leave, just in time for his daughter's birthday party. He had been kept for almost 2 full years, and release was finally near. He wanted to be with his family, to be a father once more. With his exit papers in hand, he felt the heavy burden of the past 2 years lift away. At 11:12 p.m. exactly, security cameras showed Kamari Belmont walking from the Cook County Jail. It was a brief look at his release. He gave a final wave to his close friends, other men in the jail he had grown close with. He even passed some of his things to them. This was the final time they would see his face. He walked through the building's doors, into a passage, and then to another waiting area, at last stepping out. On his face, he wore the letters MVP tattooed, perhaps a sign of what he believed he was, or aimed to become. He felt happy, looking forward to his child's birthday, and the plain pleasures of being free. He was prepared to begin anew, to leave street life behind and center on his family. But it seemed someone had other intentions. His release, so hoped for, would be sad and very brief. Kamari Belmont stepped into a blue car with 2 companions, leaving the jail behind. As they went south on California Avenue, the city lights passed by. Release felt so near, so true. But they did not know that eyes were watching, hidden in the dimness. Moments after their exit, as they waited at a red light near the jail, a white SUV suddenly came alongside their car. Then everything burst apart. With harsh, chilling accuracy, 2 shooters inside the SUV began a storm of bullets. Shots tore through the car window and ripped the car's frame. It was a surprise attack, quick and unkind. 20 shots in all were fired into the car from 2 different pistols. In only a few moments, Kamari Belmont's life was ended with force. He fell in the street, his body full of bullet wounds. He passed away right there, on the cold road, his killing done. The white SUV, attempting to get away from the area, crashed, and the attackers ran on foot, vanishing into the darkness. At 11:57 p.m., the Chicago police arrived at the awful crime spot. They had heard radio messages about at least 2 people, one wearing a black and red jacket seen running down the street. They swiftly located Belmont lying still in the street. After talking with the driver of Belmont's car, they found out he had left the car and hid in nearby bushes when the shooting began. It seemed Belmont also tried to run, but he had almost no chance to get away. The area was pure disorder, a clear sign of the rough violence that had just occurred. As police began their work on the case, a disturbing image of what happened began to appear. Around Kamari Belmont's body, 24 empty bullet shells lay on the ground, each one a stark sign of the violence. Belmont's blue car, the one he had just left jail in, was full of bullet holes, its right passenger side pierced by a shocking 21 shots. It was plain this was a planned, skillful killing. In the midst of the confusion, a ray of promise came from people who saw what happened. Though upset by the sight, they spoke of the frightening parts of the attack. They told how the two cars had stopped side by side at the traffic lights just before the shooting started. Having these witnesses proved very helpful, letting police begin collecting phone records and DNA proof, hoping to put together who the suspects might be. Inside the wrecked white SUV used by the accused, police found important items that could lead them to the killers. These items included a credit card, cigarettes that were partly smoked, water bottles, a Red Bull can, and a .45 caliber pistol found near the driver's side door. Even a Samsung cell phone was found close to the damaged vehicle. Police soon learned that the suspect's car had been rented only a few days earlier, on March 3rd. These hints, though small, were key pieces in a tricky and unsafe search, pointing to who was responsible. As the inquiry moved faster, the grim presence of gang violence cast a long shadow over the incident. Kamari Belmont, or THF Bobo, was a part of the 046 terror branch of the Gangster Disciples. This group had been caught in a harsh, violent conflict with a competing group, the 051 Young Money branch of the Mickey Cobras. This was not a minor disagreement. It was a deeply set conflict, filled with violence and a drive for payback. With the collected evidence and street information, several individuals from 051 Young Money quickly became the main persons of interest in Belmont's killing. These persons were Desmond Green, David Kendrick, and Ricky Anderson. Police also thought at least 3 other men were in a tail car, a second vehicle meant to help the shooters, perhaps observing from afar or prepared to aid their escape. The driver of this support car was widely thought to be Kurt Mack. This was unsettling since Kurt Mack himself would later be killed on June 27, 2017. The police files appeared to match him as the driver of that helping vehicle. The other 2 persons in the tail car were harder to identify, with only their ages known. The overall sense was of a planned, organized attack, deeply tied to the violent past of these rival groups. Even with much proof collected by police, the empty bullet shells, the car full of holes, the items found from the wrecked car, and strong thoughts pointing to certain people from a competing group. Fairness has yet to come for Kamari Belmont's murder. It's a disheartening truth in a city like Chicago. The chief cause for this difficult delay comes from the people who saw what happened. They suddenly stopped helping. Consider being a witness in a place where fright and threats spread freely. These people will likely not speak in court against the accused, naming them, because they know the frightening dangers. They worry about being called a snitch, which can mean an ending to their lives on the streets, or worse, facing what is called the forever box. In a city where fear holds great sway, the process of law has stopped. Kamari Belmont's murder stays unsolved. His attackers without punishment. His story stands as a dark echo of the senseless violence that troubles Chicago's roads, and the strong powers that can prevent fairness. It is a sorrowful finish to a difficult life, leaving behind many questions and a group still dealing with their sorrow. May peace be with all mentioned in this account.